If you're new and you haven't met me before, I'm Kate Rosette. I'm a certified Iyengar yoga teacher and I'm the founder of Yoga Branches. But more importantly, I'm a yoga practitioner and I'm a student of the Iyengar method. And I love nothing more than sharing anything about a home yoga practice or a yoga practice, and inspiring and motivating other people to practice daily, to get on the mat every single day so that we can create balance in the body, balance in the mind, and ultimately balance in our lives. And getting on the mat every day is hard. There's lots of challenges. And one of the biggest challenges that I hear members of the group sharing with me is about consistency, which is why I wanted to bring you today's 5 tips about keeping it consistent. Now, the other reason I've decided to focus on the month of October being about loving your practice is because I'm going to be completely honest. I have not been loving my practice lately, and usually I'm bouncing to get on the mat and loving it. And I was looking at why, and and that's inspired me to share with you about loving our practice. And the more we love our practice, the easier it is to get on the mat. If we're not enjoying it and not loving it, it makes it even harder to get on the mat. And there's already a whole bunch of other challenges to getting on the mat, like time and family and work and all those things. So loving it is going to make it that a little bit easier to get on the mat. I recently completed another level of certification in the Iyengar method, and we have all these levels of assessment that we work through. And in preparation for that assessment, I was loving my practice. I was feeling strong. I had a focus. I had goals, and it was just really easy to get on the mat every single day and to practice because it was all there. I had the motivation, I had the inspiration, I had goals, I had a focus, and it was easy and effortless, and I loved it. Now, since my exam, it's not been quite the same. And I sort of thought, yep, after the exam, I'll have a little break and then I'll get back on the horse. And then I all of a sudden looked at the calendar and realized 4 months later or 3 months later, I was like, oh my God, I'm still in my break. I haven't quite pulled my head out. And I realized that each day getting on the mat was hard and it was a challenge and there was efforts and I just wasn't loving it. And so I had to look at why. And the biggest reason why was that I hadn't shifted my focus. I kind of did my assessment, which had a big focus. And then afterwards, I thought I'll take a break, but then didn't reshift my focus, didn't give myself um, some goals or a new point. It doesn't have to be goals like I'm going to do this pose and I'm going to strive for that, but just focuses and goals so that we can have a path and have a direction. And so I hadn't shifted my focus after my assessment to what am I going to focus on now, which ideally would have been something like just focus on restorative poses because post exam you need to rest and restore and that sort of thing. So for those of you jumping in just live now, welcome. I love to hear where you're watching from. And I was just sharing with you my recent challenge, my recent struggle about not loving my practice, and how it's come to this month of October about how to love our practice and how to be consistent with our practice. So, having said all of that, let's start to jump into some of the tips. I've got 5 tips that I want to share with you about a consistent practice that you love. And I came to this because I did my reflection about why I wasn't loving my practice and what was missing. And the biggest thing was I'd lost focus and I'd lost direction. And so finding that has really helped me to get back on the mat and love it all over again. So my first tip, number 1 tip for a consistent practice is motivation and loving it. So how do we stay motivated? How do we stay inspired to get on the mat every day? And one of my key points, which I've just talked about, is having a focus and having a goal. And last month, I did this whole workshop series on planning your practice and focusing and having a focus for the whole month so that you've got direction and some path to lead you there. So having motivation, being motivated comes from having a focus, having somewhere that you're leading towards. And as well as it could be focusing on a particular asana or a particular kind of group of poses, like perhaps it's just the focus is on forward bends or the focus is on a particular asana. But having something, having a goal, having a focus will make it easier to get on that, will keep you motivated to get on the mat. So that is my number one, having a focus, a goal to keep your motivation up. If you've got nothing to work towards, there's no motivation. There's no reason. Like you've got to have a reason, a goal, an intention. That goal might be an intention. I've done lots of intention setting in the past, looking at why do you do yoga in the first place? What's your reason for doing yoga? Is it to be less stressed? Is it to be more flexible? Is it to build strength, to lose weight, to be more connected to yourself so that you can connect better with others? There's lots of intentions. It's really good to start with one. Find your intention. That can be your motivator for getting on the mat. So there's a whole different range of ways that you can get motivated. Having a pose to focus on, having a group of poses to focus on, having a clear intention. Okay, point number 2, I've got my little notes down here, so don't forget if you're wondering why I'm looking off screen. So my second point is about staying inspired. These are different. Motivation and inspiration are different things. Motivation is going to be the thing that gets you there. Inspiration needs to be like stuff that comes, I believe, from the outside in. You can find the inspiration in as well, but when you're struggling with your practice, when there's this challenge of getting on the mat, I find it helps to look outwards because I'm having the inspiration's not there. I'm like, what am I going to do? What pose, from what angle, what focus? Where, like, and so just looking out to get some ideas and bringing them into your practice. And there's a number of ways you can do that. You can go to yoga classes. That would be my number one recommendation. Go to a yoga class. And in that yoga class, there'll be a whole bunch of things that you can grab and go, cool, I'm just going to focus on my shoulder blades, or I'm going to focus on my knees extending. It just gives you a little inspiration so that when you get on the mat and practice, you can draw back from that class and you can go, oh, what did the teacher say? Yeah, I'm going to do that. So there's some inspiration for what to do. Go to a yoga class. Do your homework. Do a little bit of study. Pull out the yoga books. There is so much wisdom, so much inspiration in yoga books, whether it be the texts that Guruji's written, like Light on Life or The Tree of Yoga. These are beautiful, easy reads that will inspire you to practice, inspire you for the purpose, what your purpose is for doing yoga. And also looking on, I mean, there's a lot online these days, but looking for online yoga classes to inspire you to do things differently. We sort of get into habits and we always do our sequence in this order, or we always do these same sorts of poses, or you always go into the pose that way. So following led practices online is a great way to get new ideas about sequencing, order of poses, moving in and out of poses in different ways, just to keep it fresh and inspired. So there's a number of ways that you can keep your practice inspired, and I think it helps to look out and then to bring it in and then make it your own and consolidate it and practice it and integrate it into your practice. So number 1, motivation, little recap here. Number 2, staying inspired and looking out and getting ideas and bringing them onto your mat. Number 3, this is a biggie. It probably should be number 1, but I didn't want to scare you away. Number 3, what are your challenges? Know what your limitations are. Know what your challenges are. Ask yourself, what is holding me back in my practice? So there's many ways to come at this, but for example, you might just say, ask yourself, what is the challenge? Why is it so hard for me to get on the mat every day? Is your challenge time? If it's time, look at all the solutions around creating more time. I'm going to use time as the example here because You know why? Because many of you, many of the members in the Iyengar Home Yoga Practice group say that one of the biggest challenges, as well as consistency, is time, making time, finding time, allocating time, not having enough time, having the time interrupted. So if time is your barrier, if that's your block, if that's your challenge, then start to look at all the solutions to time. I think you've got to first of all find the problem, and then you can start to find answers, but not just go for the, okay, I don't have enough time, so what's one, like there's many ways that you can create more time. You could do a shorter practice. You could get up earlier. You could do it in your lunch break at work. You could put the TV on. God forbid, you could put the TV on and get the kids to watch a program so that you have an uninterrupted 20-minute practice. There's lots of ways that you can create time. And that's often half the reason why we can't get on the mat in the first place. We have these challenges. We haven't quite identified what they are. They've all just been thrown into the too hard basket, and we're not actually addressing them. So ask yourself, what is my biggest challenge? What is holding me back from practicing? And maybe it's actually a physical thing. Maybe the biggest challenge for you is forward bends. This is a common one. Forward bends are not easy. And perhaps that's something that's holding you back in your practice, and it's a bit of a roadblock and a bit of a mental thing, and you're not getting on the mat because you're just avoiding them. Then look at ways around. Don't avoid the forward bends, but look at interesting and creative ways to practice the forward bends, so you come at it from a different place, from a place of interest and curiosity. So that's the third point. Ask yourself, what is my challenge, and how am I going to get past that challenge? Okay. Point number 4. You know what I'd love in the when you're watching the replay or live, I would love for you to put into the comments right now, what is your biggest challenge? What is it? Is it time? Is it being consistent? Is it family? Is it work? Who do you want to blame? Find out what it is that's holding you back, what your challenge is, and I'd love you to comment in the comment section about your challenge. This helps me to prepare more things to help you guys to move through and to keep a consistent daily practice. So tell me, what is your challenge? Now, point number 4, planning. Yes, it really helps to plan what you're going to practice. Now, as I mentioned last month, I covered a whole plan for creating a sequence, a plan for the whole month, so that you knew what you were doing for every single day of October, for the whole month. You had sequences, you had the big picture, you had the weekly picture, and you had the daily picture. You don't have to go to that extent, but create a plan. Have a plan for what you're going to do before you get on the mat. Yes, you can get on the mat, cross your fingers and hope it works and roll from one thing to the other. But what tends to happen is we do the same things. It gets boring and repetitive. We run out of ideas and we don't know what to do next. And after 10 or 15 minutes, we're like, run out of ideas. I'll just wrap it up there. And it's just not very satisfying. Whereas if you have a plan beforehand, you know what you're doing, you know how long you need, and you've got something to work towards. So coming up with a plan can happen in many ways. You can follow my Plan Your Practice workshop. That's the start. You can just look in a book and scribble out a sequence. So many Iyengar books have sequences in the back that you can follow. And you might not know all the poses. You don't have to do the entire sequence. Just come up with like 10 poses, depending on how long you're choosing to do your practice for. But come up with a plan. Scribble it down on a piece of paper so you've got it there on your mat before you start. So you know, after that pose, I'm doing that one. After that pose, I'm doing that one. Having said that, allow for a little bit of creative freedom. You might have a plan and then you're in the pose and going, oh, now it'd be good to do this instead. So of course you can mix it up and add a few things in, but have a plan. Know what you're doing before you get on the mat. It will be so much more satisfying and you'll be more efficient, far more efficient with your time on the mat rather than like, oh, what do I do now? And then, oh, I might do that. And it's not focused and you're kind of flowing from here to there and there's no juice. Have a plan. Get a plan. I can't stress that enough. Write a sequence. Find one in a book, follow it, make one up on your own. Copy what you did in class. That's a brilliant way to practice. Go to a class, afterwards, write down as many poses as you can remember that you did in the rough order that you did them in the class. That would be wise. And then repeat it. And then you've got the teacher's instructions there in your head as you're practicing. Or find something online. I've got heaps of online led practices that you can follow along. I'm going to share with you at the end of this video about how you can access them. So following along is great because they often, whoever you're following does things differently to you. They show you different ways, different order, and then you can get new ideas for when you come to doing it on your own. Tip number 5. So let me just quick recap for those who are just jumping in. 1, motivation, staying motivated by having a focus, a goal. 2, staying inspired. Look out, get ideas and bring them to your mat to stay inspired. 3, look at what your challenges are. Look at what your roadblocks are. What's holding you back? Address them. Move them out of the way so they're no longer there. 4, make a plan. Have a sequence before you get on the mat. Don't just fly by the seat of your pants. And 5, schedule. Schedule in the time to actually practice. We are all very busy. This is the state of the world right now. We are up to here with plans, with work, with commitments, and everyone is running their life. Well, not everyone, but I confess I am, and many people I know, running their lives by their phone. Their phone just pops up and gives a reminder and tells them what they're doing next because they're busy and they've got family commitments, they've got work commitments. So you need to schedule time. You need to have time marked out. Otherwise, it won't happen. A bit like you have in your head, I'm going to prepare dinner around 4 after the kids have come home and they've had a snack and they'll be happy playing. I'm going to make dinner around 4 and then it'll be ready easily by 6. Like, I make that plan in the day. I wedge out my half an hour window going, that's when dinner's going to happen. If I don't do that, oh my God, it's 6 o'clock and there's no dinner. So in the same way, you have to mark your time. Mark it, find it, put it in your diary every single day on your paper diary, your phone diary, schedule it in. The time you're going to practice and for how long. Have a commitment to how long you're going to practice so that you know you can realistically do it and achieve it. That's it. They are my 5 essentials for being consistent. And when you're consistent, you will love your practice more because you're getting so much more out of it. When you're focused on what you're doing, you will love your practice more because you've got goals. When you're doing new, interesting things, you're going to love your practice because you're inspired and there's stuff happening rather than like just bumbling along. Consistency is on so many levels, and that's how you do it. Look at these 5 steps. Now, I want to know, before I move on, if you look at those 5 points, motivation, inspiration, challenges, planning, and scheduling, oh, that was 6 all of a sudden, but no, I just had an extra thumb. That's 5. Which of those 5 is the one that you need? Because there's a lot there and you can look at them all, but perhaps that's overwhelming and you're like, oh my God, there's too much. Which one? Choose one that you need to give more attention to. Have a look at them. Which one do you need to give more attention to? Are you getting on the mat each day without a sequence? Then you need to go to point 4. Point 4 is the one that you need to give more attention to. Are you completely bored and uninspired and feel like you're just a robot on the mat? Then it's number 2 for you. You need to give more attention to inspiration and getting ideas. Share in the comments. Which one is yours? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Which one do you need more of? Which is the one that you're going to focus on to bring more love and more joy into your home practice? I would really love to hear in the comments. So as you're watching, whether it be the live version of this film or the replay, share with me in the comments which one you need to give more attention to. It will help you to get on the mat daily. And that is what this is all about. Ultimately, getting on the mat every single day. And I'm trying to give you all these tips and all these ideas so that you feel compelled and inspired and motivated to do it and have ideas for what to do when you actually get on the mat. Now, that's why I've created this month's challenge, which is a simple 7-day challenge. And this is just to inspire, to motivate, to help you plan, to help you schedule. It ticks all of the 5 points, the 7-day challenge. It's starting next Monday on the 8th of October. It's a 7-day challenge. And what I'm asking you to do is practice yoga every single day for 7 days. And this will help you because if you do it every single day, you start to feel the difference. You notice the difference when you do every single day, whether it be 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 40 minutes, every day. Then by day 8, if you don't do, you're like, wow, I really notice the difference in my body and my mind when I'm not doing. So this 7-day challenge is created to get you on the mat every single day. And I'm going to help you do that. In the challenge, you get 2 sequences a day. So you can choose. If you're a beginner, there's something there for you. If you're a more experienced intermediate practitioner, there's something there for you. There's 20-minute sequences and then longer ones for the more experienced students. So you can choose each day if you're going to do a shorter practice or a longer practice. If you want to do something more challenging or something more foundation-based. As well as having 2 sequences to choose from every single day for the 7 days. And when I say 2 sequences, I'm talking about 2 lead video practices. So I'm trying to make it super easy for you. There's no excuses. You don't have to figure out what you're going to do or for how long, except you've got to choose which time duration you're going to go for. But I just making it like you just turn on, switch on, play, and follow and go along each day with me. So as well as the 2 lead practices that you choose every single day for 7 days, I'm also including a bunch of worksheets. Now, this is not everyone's cup of tea. I'm a super organized person. I like to have everything structured and filed, and I like to, reflect and watch my progress and have plans and goals. So that's why I've included these worksheets, which help you schedule your time. There's a calendar, and every day you're going to mark in what time you're going to practice, for how long, and also a backup time. So if you miss your first time slot, then what's the second time slot you're going to get it in if you miss the first one? So there's a schedule to help you plan out your 7 days, know every day what time you're going to practice and for how long. And there's like some journaling worksheets in there which help you to reflect on what was the hardest thing about getting on the mat? What did you love about getting on the mat? And what have you noticed different about how you feel? So this just helps you to know why you're doing it each day and to keep you back on the mat the next day and the day after and the day after and the day after. Okay, as well as that, I have a private Facebook group that I've created for everyone joining me on the challenge. Now, the reason I create these private Facebook groups is all about accountability, getting everyone together. One of the hardest things about practicing yoga every single day on our own is that we are on our own. And having community and having people to share with, oh my God, it helps. So I create this private Facebook group that you will join when you sign up for the challenge. And in there, we get to share. We get to share every single day. I invite you to share every day. You don't have to. You might be anti-sharing. That's okay. But I really encourage you to share. Was it hard? Did you do it? What did you discover? How are you feeling each day of the challenge? It helps everyone to move through together and to keep us accountable rather than just being accountable to yourself. And it's pretty easy just to go, oh, I didn't do it today. Oh, well, no one knows, doesn't matter, and slink away. This way you're like, yes, I did it. I showed up. I got on my mat. So we work together and we cruise through. And I give you lots of inspiration in this group as well. Daily quotes and things to inspire you, little tips to get you going. But also it's the place you can ask me questions. So if you've got questions about injuries, questions about how to do a pose, you don't understand something I'm doing in a video and you want more detail on it, that's the place to ask. Every day you can ask me questions and I will reply either simply with a comment, or if it needs more explanation, I'll create a video specifically for you answering your question. Sounds pretty good, right? Sequences to follow every single day, worksheets to keep you on track, someone to answer your questions, people to hang out with online to share your experience with. What more could you ask for 7 days, starting next Monday, the 8th of October? So, the link for the 7 day challenge is in this video. You can jump in there, click on it, you'll get all the details, see everything that's involved. It's $14 for 7 days. So that's $2 a day that you're dedicating to your practice. Now, I put this small monetary price tag on it because I think it helps people to commit. When you've paid for something, you want to do it. You want to see that it's worth your money's worth. And it gives this extra incentive of commitment. It's a small commitment. We're talking about $2 a day, but there's an extra thing to go, yes, I'm going to do this. I've signed up for this. I've paid for this. I'm going to come every single day and do it. And then every day afterwards, after the challenge. The other thing about the challenge is we're doing it together. We all start on the 8th and we finish on the 14th. And it expires at the 14th. So you got to keep up. You got to stay with me every single day, do your practice, and all of the videos are drip fed. So you can't race ahead. We're all in it together. Day one, we're doing day one sequences, day two sequences, and moving through like that. Okay, I think I've covered everything, but there's one more thing. For the first 5 people to sign up, you will get for free gifted my Plan Your Practice workshop. So the first 5 people to sign up and register for the 7 day challenge will get the Plan Your Practice video series, which I ran last month. People loved it, and people are following it already this month. They've put it in action and they've marked out their October and they're doing yoga every single day. So this video pack is really helpful that after the 7 days with me, then you can watch this video series and then you can have a really clear plan about how to plan your practice for every day after when I'm not there to hold your hand. Okay, I think that's it. I'm excited. I can't wait to inspire and motivate you every day next week.